Hi everyone, it's Hayden, and today we're going to be going over my teaching philosophy statement. So the first thing I'm going to be going over is why teaching. The reason I originally chose to become a teacher is because of my mother. She impacted multiple students of her in the best way possible, and seeing that made me realize that I too wanted to be someone who leaves a positive mark on someone else's life. As I have continued my path in education, I have realized that there are many more reasons why I want to become an educator. In this day and age, there's a lot of children who need someone to look up to. It may sound cheesy, but I want to be a role model for our future generations. I want my students to have a safe space where they can learn and express themselves. I want to guide my students towards success while appealing to their interests. I will do this by implementing multiple learning styles into my classroom. While completing field experience, I have learned that I truly have a passion for teaching, and when I'm able to teach a student something new, I am instantly filled with happiness. My philosophy of teaching is Reconstructionism, and when completing the Parquet Philosophic Quiz, I scored extremely high in this category. I scored the second highest in the Existentialism category. So what is Reconstructionism? Parquet states that Reconstructionists advocate that schools should take the lead to reconstruct society. Reconstructionism advocates for change to better aid society. Reconstructionists focus on the importance of accepting everyone to help create a diverse community. They uphold the idea that others' traditions and heritage should be appreciated. If a Reconstructionist sees that change needs to be made, they will stand up for what they believe in. They focus on making sure that their classroom is a place where all opinions are heard and discussed. They also tend to give their students more choices when it comes to learning, unlike Perennialists who focused on teaching the classics. So now I'm going to be explaining how I'm going to implement Reconstructionism into my classroom. I first wanted to state that all these examples will help my students to better understand social reform and diversity. My goal is that they will hold these truths close to their heart and be open to forming bonds with other students, no matter their race, religion, sexual orientation, ethnicity, or social status. So my first example says that I will dedicate the last few minutes of class to current events. One way I can do this is by having my students watch CNN Student News. This will help them to better understand what is going around in the world. If I were to teach social studies, I could have my students research current events that focus on society. They could share their current events to the class and explain its importance to social reform. My second example is going to be, during Black History Month, I plan to focus my students' attention to historical figures who fought for change and reform in the United States. I will make sure to fill my reading center with books that show diversity within the characters and themes. My last example is that I can have my students create a poster that represents what they believe equality and diversity looks like. I will allow them to use reliable resources online that highlight the importance of social reform and how to implement that into their daily lives. So when it comes to the goals for my classroom, I want my students to accept each and every person no matter their race, religion, or ethnicity. Growing up, my school didn't really focus on diversity, so I kind of had to learn about it myself. I think it's important to teach kids about the real world while they're still young because it will help to better prepare them for the future. I will teach my students why it's important to stand up for what they believe in. My students will have the opportunity to tell me what they believe needs to be done to better promote diversity and reform within the school. I myself will communicate this information to other educators in order to create a community within the school. I will work with other teachers to find new ways to implement Reconstructionism into my classroom.